So, yeah, we talked about this briefly, but this is just hot off the press news that Hertz Rent a Car. Now, they just recently got out of bankruptcy, so they've restructured the company 4 months out of bankruptcy. And Bloomberg is reporting this morning that they placed an order for 100,000 Tesla Model 3s in their ambitious plan to electrify their rental car fleet. It's going to take 14 months for Tesla to deliver all of these cars, and we know that Tesla is making cars as fast as they possibly can, but there's big waiting lists. So it's a deal worth $4.2 billion. So they're paying roughly $42,000 per car, which is probably the market price for whatever they're buying. And yeah, this is a huge deal. And I think it, again, points to the advantage that Tesla has. I don't think it would even be possible for Hertz to do this deal with any other EV maker, because first of all, no other EV maker is making enough of them. And Tesla just has it sorted with the charging network. I really wouldn't want to rent another type of electric car, I don't think, from a car rental place, because the third-party charging network just isn't quite there yet. But you can see how this would work pretty well with Teslas and the supercharger network.
I was thinking, Brian, why Tesla? Because Tesla's kind of a hard car to just get into and drive without, because everything is adjusted. Your air vents are adjusted by a joystick and the on-screen tablet there. There's no buttons in the car. It's just the on-screen display. So it gets kind of tricky to just, unless there was a video they could play of like welcome to Hertz. This is how you drive this thing.
I imagine, they're definitely going to have to do little orientations. I would think even probably one-on-one with each person as they rent the car, because there's usually a person that shows you the car anyway. But yeah, it's true. It is a slightly more weird car to drive. There was no word on if they had purchased full self-driving, full self-driving software. Probably not if it's the $42,000 price. But I could see some of the autopilot features as well being really kind of too complicated, perhaps. There's amazing advanced driver safety features, but everything is a slight learning curve.
I would be very actually cautious about a average Joe walking into a Hertz dealership and getting into the car and throwing on autopilot and not really knowing that autopilot requires your full attention, or you could die or kill people, especially today. Interesting, though, that, I'm assuming this is going to take place over some time. Yeah, actually, that's pretty impressive, Brian. 14 months is really quick. When Amazon purchased 100,000 vehicles from Rivian to use as delivery vans, that's over the next 10 years. There was, this whole decade. That is what that spans. But 14 months is actually quite impressive. They better get building cars.
And typically, the stat I heard is that car rental places, they turn their cars over every 13 months, like they're used to buying them and getting rid of them 13 months later. So no word on how long they're going to keep the Teslas, but because it's a kind of a different beast, they might keep them a little bit longer than the usual 13-month turnaround. Or, 14 months from now, maybe they'll buy another 100,000. I don't know.
I wonder why, because, it's kind of like just the wear and tear of the cars on the interior, perhaps. But if I was a large rental company, wouldn't I have just replace the interiors every 13 months, and then the thing would last at least a few years, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've always assumed, it's like when a gasoline car is new, like that first year is when they typically work the best. You have the fewest problems typically in that first year. So that's always why I assumed that they did it, that, if you only keep the cars for a year, 13 months, they stay quite reliable.
So in that time, though, they will have, keep in mind that when we're talking about robotaxis for Tesla in the future, that they are talking about 1.5 million miles. Or at least 1 million. That's
per car, yeah.
They won't have the same policy about perfection on the scratches and the wear and tear if they do in fact run them that long. Maybe if you are the king of robotaxis in the world, you do have interiors ready to be replaced. and you can swap them out, or you take the motors out, or maybe, I don't know. What do you think?
No, yeah, it's hard to say. I do think that they're going to probably keep them longer than the usual. But also, there was a tweet this morning from Musk responding to the Hertz deal, and somebody asked him if your driver profile from, like, if you own a Tesla, you have a
Ooh.
driver profile, and the feature is not finished yet, but in the future, you will be able to rent a Hertz car, and if you already have a Tesla and a Tesla profile, it will remember your like seat positions and everything.
That's
as soon as you
amazing.
get
In
in
your
the
mirror
car.
positions and all, just sort of,
Yeah.
you can get it into it and go. Yeah, but I would have thunk that maybe a different car company with a more standard car would have been a better fit, because they say that the Volkswagen ID4, the Mustang Mach-E are all very regular car-like cars, and they don't require much of a change. But as you said, they just can't. They're not going to make any. They're not going to.
It's yeah, the charging network, and nobody else is making enough of them. I really think they'd have trouble if they ordered 100,000 cars from somebody else. They'd have trouble getting them within 14 months.
And Hertz is building some of its own charging infrastructure. I imagine that is definitely at their outlets and at airports where they have, where they're on the ground. I can't see them building their own superchargers anywhere, but they weren't specific about that. It's very interesting. And, one of the great things about this is that it gets EVs into everybody's hands. If you're on a business trip or on vacation, I've recommended to people, if you want to try a Tesla or you want to try a car, next time you're in a big city, rent one. There are some rental companies that will have them.
Yep.
May not be completely convenient. You may not get one at the airport, but there are other companies that will have them. And yeah, I mean, you could even get Lyft rides, rideshare rides in the green vehicles. And the riders, the owners of the car get paid a premium, and you pay a premium for that carbon-free experience. And it's interesting, and I wonder how their cost of ownership adds up. They don't have to worry about oil changes. They don't have to worry about pretty much everything. I mean, except for tires, if they put a lot of miles on them.
No, I mean, if you're a big rental car company like that, you don't order 100,000 cars lightly. Clearly, they've done the math, and the math must work, or they wouldn't have done it.
And here's one more thing, Brian. We're not there yet, but I'm going to assume that the Tesla safety features will be in a very good state in a year or two. And maybe we can say 14 months when these deliveries are done, and you could have less accidents. You have less accidents, you have less insurance. And Tesla is starting to offer insurance in Texas and California because they know that their drivers are having less accidents, their cars are having less accidents. You also have the Sentry mode sort of monitoring everything, so you know what's going on. There was just a story on Canadian national media about people returning rental cars and having the catalytic converters stolen when they return the after hours. They get billed for these, tremendously expensive items that have rare earth minerals in them.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
No, that's apparently a huge problem in Canada and elsewhere. Catalytic converters getting stolen because of the metals in them. It's wild.
I really want to go beyond catalytic converters because I just really hate that. Well, here's something I found interesting that ARK Invest Tasha Akini said. She says the Hertz deal could offer free advertising for Tesla and the opportunity for a partner in a robotaxi fleet down the road, and even help with management and maintenance of said fleet, which is what this investment firm is counting on, is full self-driving becoming a thing, and Tesla winning the robotaxi race. So if that does happen, that's interesting. It's certainly good free advertising, I think. And boy, Brian, once you drive electric, you don't want to go back.
Yeah.
It's everybody who buys an electric car says it's the best car they ever own. Even the people who've turned them in and said, it doesn't meet my range needs in the wintertime or whatever, they always say, it's the best car I ever drove. I'm really sorry to have to turn it back in and get something else, but my commute's 6 hours long.
Yeah, in addition to free advertising too, Hertz released a commercial. This is more breaking news. It just came out
Really?
just before we recorded. Yeah, they've shot a commercial with Tom Brady, the famous quarterback, and it's a commercial where they go into a parking garage and it's filled with Teslas, and it's like, if you want to drive electric, come to Hertz. And then there's Tom Brady sitting in a chair and he's got a charging cord plugged into his chest like he's an electric human. And yeah, that just came out.
Let's play a clip from that.
Speaking of goats, is that Tom Brady?
Yeah, he comes in to recharge, get software updates,
The Clean Energy Show with Brian Stockton and James Whittingham.